that the paradox of this? Because what you're saying, and again, I agree with it. It's this idea that we need to be able to somehow detach ourselves or rise above the system in that first 7 or 8 years and get in almost, and this starts to sound very spiritual, and maybe it is for those that appreciate that way, but I'm not necessarily intending that way. We need to connect back to what our pure essence is and kind of who we are as kind of one, right?
Yeah.
I get all that. And then as you start to think about that, you say, okay, how do we do that? And in that step right there, you start to systematize and you say, okay, here's how we can get people. And there's this weird dichotomy of like, we need to figure out a way to get people back to their essence. But the only way we know how to do that is to provide them with a logical system of how to get back to their essence. And that's counterintuitive. That can't work. So it's like, how do we get people to at scale to get back there?
But it does work, because you hitting. That's our evolution, right? So we know what it is. I mean, we didn't know about bacteria. Then we find out there's bacteria. And now, we are sanitary. I mean, and then too sanitary is the opposite. So it's not, if you can teach a human that, number one, the world is not sunny all the time, because you couldn't even absorb what sunny is if it doesn't rain. And the system says, hey, your life should be happy, Instagram ready all day long. If it's not, we have a Ferrari to sell you, we have a pill to sell you, we have to get a face job to sell you, or a boob job. It doesn't matter, So that's a lie.
Right.
That's a blatant out lie. Life is for Bezos, Elon Musk, for me, for you. It's not sunshine every day. As a matter of fact, when you hit the wall, like your friend, it's a wake up. Don't use it as, self-shaming. Now I prove to myself that, I'm not worthy, because I alone from the system, because the system works 24/7, 360, and you see that. And I say, oh my God, I'm not, I have to sleep. I have to get 4 hours of sleep. That's what we do. And this self-awareness, what are we doing? Not what you doing, what I doing, what we all do. How we get lured in, how we lure ourselves into a world that seems easier and simpler and better. But it isn't, because the people that reach that goal, when you and I reached something in life, so we are not different. It's nothing different. It's just evolution. And then you wouldn't go, when you play an hour or two with your toe when you're little, why don't you play with your toe still? I mean, you evolve,
It's a fascinating thing. In that, and it comes back, I see why part of the reason I love this conversation as we're coming towards the end is, and when we haven't majored on it, but we've touched on it. It articulates why art is so important to you, because what I didn't realize, maybe, and this speaks to the beauty of conversations and that superpower we have, is my mind has changed to this. It started to think of art in a different way and apply it to this philosophical conundrum of life, of how do we balance between the structure and the rigidness and the systems that do serve some purpose, and that other part, though, which is that more natural essence, human, natural side of us. And art in many ways bridges that gap. And it's not clean, though. It's not easy. You can't, very much by the definition of it, you can't explain it and put it, because as soon as you try and explain it in a structured way, you move too far to the system, right? So
I don't know. You have that hang up that you think, if you in itself,
you don't think
I wouldn't say that. No, because you need both sides. You need to be hit by the system, and you need to be, and because that's your boundaries. In the art world, it's always all about the project. It's all inclusive. We're gonna get this theater piece done, or the music. It's all about the project. It's not about the star. When it becomes the star, it gets boring music. You know that, so, or whatever. So it's about the teamwork. It's not genderized. It's nothing, in the business, it's perhaps in galleries that they hire more man or more woman, whatever. But in the creation process, nobody talks about the creation process. The creation process is what turns all world on to create that to create Apple, to create Nike, to make a war, it is the creation of things that turns us on. We need to tinker, we need to create. But we're not looking why we're creating, and we don't look at the function of creation. We just look at the product that comes out, and that's where we have shifted wrong. It's not the product, it's the making of it. It's
Right.
the living the life. It's not getting look how many people get an Oscar, a Grammy, get being the best salesman. It's nice, but it's nice for your ego. Very, this experience that you and I have right now, never forget that.
Sure.
That is not it's a title we worked for. No, we're just being. There wasn't efforting or anything. It wasn't like, I'm not struggling, you are not struggling.
Right.
That's how life should be. That's what I'm saying.
And I agree with that. Where I think I'm going with this at a very meta level is, as soon as you introduce, well, let me put it as a statement, and I'm not saying it's right, refute it, but if we're saying that that's where we should live, in that area of creation where it's open and it's free and it's infinite and we could be whatever it needs to be, there's no gender, there's no categorization. If that's the ideal place to be, then as soon as we layer any system onto that, that would seem to be a bad thing. Is that fair?
No, because a tribe is not something bad. We have the ability, we have enough energy to be adapt to a certain extent. But if we give priority, it's the priority. If we prioritize the system says you need to live or die. The system says, and no system has the right to say you need to die or live, or you need to be harmed.
Here's where I think we're getting to the heart of it now. So I'm glad we're talking through it. What I think you're saying is totally fine to have systems as long as we understand their place and they show us the limit. And what I think I'm saying, and this is maybe a more cynical view, is I don't think we're capable of. I think as soon as we introduce system structure into our mind, into our lives, we don't have the ability to know where to check it. And maybe human history is evidence of that. We keep, and it's that inability. Maybe we need to get rid of it altogether for us to ever truly be in that better state with creation. You seem to have a more optimistic view, which says, no, it's okay to introduce a little bit of system. Just do it in balance, in the right way. And I don't know that we as humans are capable of doing that in a balanced way. We've shown that we just optimize and push so far, at least, for the most part, that we're not capable of it. And that's what.
But that's a value. I think that's a value collapse, because how stupid can we be to say something that we created is more than us?
Yes.
We don't even know who us created. If you can tell me who created us, if system would have, any system would have created humans, not out of a test tube, because that comes also from somewhere else. If they would think they can take him, absolutely, God. But it's like saying, God, come, or metaverse or universe, come here on Earth and submit to us.
Yes.
Why would they do that?
Right. But to me, that's the evidence. You're exactly right. How stupid are we, right, as humans, and we all fall into it, but to submit to something that we created, but we do it.
We created,
but we do it.
Yeah,
right.